Today marks a significant decision in my life. I have chosen to care for Amy and Yuri. Upon my husband's return, he brought along his sister and her child. He determined that we would share our home and provide support for them. I couldn't fathom how he could prioritize his sister and niece over our own daughter and me. It became unbearable. How could he neglect his responsibilities as a husband and father? I've reached my limit. I'll end this marriage myself. Thus begins my tale of retribution against my detestable, sister-fixated husband. My name is Amelia, and I've been wedded to Ethan for 5 years. Together, we have a precious 4-year-old daughter named Luna. Our daughter, born shortly after our marriage, is simply enchanting. She's the center of our universe. My husband and daughter, they're my cherished family. However, it appears my husband doesn't share the same sentiment. One evening, as I waited for my husband's return, Luna and I busied ourselves in the kitchen preparing curry. "Mommy, when will Daddy be home?" Luna inquired. Daddy seems to be running late today. I wonder what's keeping him," I replied. It was unusual for my husband, who typically arrived straight home from work, to be absent even past 7:30 p.m. Still no response to my calls or messages. "Mommy, I'm hungry," Luna reminded me. "All right, sweetheart, let's go ahead and eat without Daddy tonight," I replied, trying to mask my disappointment. After finishing dinner with Luna and tidying up, my husband finally walked through the door. "Welcome back." "Wait, what?" I exclaimed in confusion. Standing beside Ethan were his sister Amy and her daughter, Yuri. They were burdened with an unusual amount of luggage. "Ethan, what's going on?" I stammered, struggling to comprehend the scene before me. He then dropped the bombshell. "From today onwards, we're taking care of Amy and Yuri." "What? Take care of them?" I'm lost. Why didn't he mention anything before bringing them home? This whole situation is beyond me, I struggle to articulate. "Support them." Why the suddenness? "I haven't heard a word about this," I added, feeling bewildered. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision. What choice did I have? Amy had a fallout with her husband, so she reached out to me, Ethan explained casually. "And for how long are we supposed to support them? We barely have enough space in our apartment," I pointed out, hoping he'd recognize the inconvenience. But my husband seemed unfazed. "Can't you let them use your room?" he suggested, as if it were the most obvious solution. "My room?" I echoed, incredulous. "You can move into Luna's room. Then we'll have a spare room for Amy and Yuri," my husband suggested, as if it were the simplest solution. I was speechless. Did he expect me to accept this without protest? Why should I tolerate all of this when we're the ones providing for them? It made no sense to me. With a forced smile, my husband ushered his sister and niece inside, saying, "Make yourselves at home from now on." Without a hint of apology for the abrupt intrusion, they made themselves comfortable on the couch, engrossed in the TV. I pulled my husband aside, whispering urgently, "Have you lost your mind? Taking in Amy and Yuri out of nowhere? And our budget is already tight." My husband let out a frustrated sigh, his expression turning sour. "Come on, Amy's in a tough spot, and you're acting so heartless. Can't you show a little compassion?" My husband chided. "It's not about lacking compassion. I don't mind them staying temporarily, but fully supporting them is a different matter. They should at least chip in for groceries," I argued. "What? You're being downright miserly. Amy's not even working. It's obvious she can't contribute," he retorted, accusing me of being stingy. "Your opinion doesn't concern me. My sister needs help. As the head of this household, I've decided to assist her, and you should respect that," he declared firmly, before diverting his attention to games with them. To add insult to injury, the curry I'd saved for tomorrow disappeared, devoured by my husband and his guests. Throughout the evening, I endured my husband's scolding. "Make sure you prepare more nutritious meals for my niece," he demanded. It struck me, had my husband ever shown this level of concern for our daughter's nutrition? Apparently, he could muster such care only for his beloved niece. My husband wholeheartedly sided with his sister, disregarding my feelings entirely. To make matters worse, he branded me as a miser for worrying about our finances. "She can't chip in for groceries because she's not working. That's not my problem. Regardless of their struggles, we can't afford to support them indefinitely for free," he stated bluntly. The next day, and the day after that, my husband doted on his sister and niece, barely acknowledging me and our daughter. "Amy, I picked up the cake you wanted," he announced. "Oh, thank you, Ethan. Amy replied, her gratitude directed solely at him. I spotted some toys from Yuri's favorite cartoon on sale. I couldn't resist getting them, my husband mentioned casually. Sure, go ahead, I replied, trying to hide my disappointment. The cake was exclusively for his sister and niece, and naturally, the toy was intended only for his niece. Both our daughter and his niece were around the same age, so it wasn't difficult to imagine that our daughter would also appreciate some cake and toys. But I had to endure a little longer. Once his sister reconciled with her husband, they would leave our home, and our family life would revert to its usual rhythm. Repeating this mantra to myself, I managed to suppress my frustration. Then one day, my daughter approached me with a heart-wrenching question. Mom, does Dad like Yuri more than me? What? Why do you think that? I asked, taken aback. He seems to only pay attention to Yuri. He doesn't even respond when I talk to him, she explained tearfully. I was speechless, engulfed in a wave of sadness. Pulling her close, I held her tightly, unable to find the right words to console her. Don't worry, Luna, he's your dad, I reassured her, though inside, I knew the situation couldn't continue. A few days later, I confronted my husband about his behavior. Luna's feeling neglected. It's great that you love Yuri, but you need to make time for Luna as well, I urged. Fine. It's just so much effort, he grumbled. Effort? Our daughter is Luna, not Yuri, I reminded him. Yeah, I understand. I'll make an effort to pay attention to Luna, he conceded. Despite my efforts to communicate my daughter's feelings, nothing changed. I watched as my daughter gazed at my husband, who was joyfully engaged with our niece, her eyes filled with sorrow. It seemed futile to expect my sister-in-law to step in and care for our daughter in my husband's absence. They were always focused on Yuri. I was the sole source of attention for our daughter, yet she still seemed lonely. A month went by, and our family was crumbling under the strain. Financially, we were barely scraping by. Moreover, no matter how much I tidied, our apartment remained in disarray because my sister-in-law and niece never lifted a finger to help. Meanwhile, my husband continued to lavish attention on his sister and niece, neglecting both our daughter and me. I couldn't endure this any longer. I've had enough. This has gone too far. Can we please have a serious discussion about our future? I confronted my husband, my frustration boiling over. What's gotten into you all of a sudden? I've been saying the same thing repeatedly, haven't I? Life is becoming increasingly difficult, and what's your plan regarding Amy and her predicament? You're not suggesting we live like this indefinitely, are you? He retorted. What choice do we have? She's in the midst of a marital dispute, I explained. Then shouldn't she consider divorce or try to resolve things with her husband? It's been a month already. Luna and I are reaching our breaking point. Please take our feelings into consideration, I pleaded. I knew broaching this subject would upset Ethan, but I had to advocate for Luna and the future of our family. Luna adores you, you know, but when she sees her dad showering affection only on his niece, it's bound to hurt her. I prioritized Luna's feelings over my own, I expressed to my husband. Ethan's a father as well. He should understand how much Luna is hurting and adjust his behavior, I added, hoping for some empathy. But his response left me speechless. Amy is family, right? She's your family too. How can you say such cold things? You're heartless, he accused me. Heartless? Me? I was taken aback by his accusation. It's not that I dislike Amy and Yuri. I just want our situation to change. But Ethan made it seem like I was the villain in all of this. I always knew you were cold-hearted, Ethan accused. Amy's struggling, and Yuri misses her dad. I have to give them attention. You're there for Luna, so why can't you handle it? Whoa, hold on, I protested. I'm covering all the household expenses. Why should Luna and I suffer? My salary contributes to our family budget, you know. But Amy is my sister. That makes her your family too. Yet you're always so distant, Ethan argued, laying the blame squarely on me. His cold gaze made it clear that his sister and niece took precedence over our daughter. Then he dropped a bombshell that left me stunned. Amy wants to stay here, so we'll be taking care of them from now on. We're responsible for everything: food, clothing, and shelter. In that moment, all my hopes shattered. I realized I was foolish to believe that talking would lead to understanding. Our old life was gone, irretrievably lost. I met Ethan's gaze squarely and uttered, "Fine, then let's get a divorce." My husband's expression morphed into one of disbelief. He seemed utterly perplexed by my declaration. After a tense silence, he stared at me incredulously. Divorce? What on earth are you suddenly talking about? You're joking, right? Do you honestly believe I'd joke about something like this? If you're going to dismiss mine and Luna's feelings, then I won't prioritize yours either. I'm going to make the best decision for Luna and ensure our happiness, I affirmed, resolute in my stance. He probably never anticipated me raising the topic of divorce. His disbelief was palpable as he scoffed, talking about divorce. You couldn't possibly handle raising Luna on your own. Sure, single parenting is challenging, but it's far better than enduring this. If you're serious, then go ahead and file for divorce. I'll even sign the papers. But remember, if you have a change of heart later and decide you don't want a divorce, it'll be too late, I asserted firmly. Do you really think I'd back down? I produced the papers I'd prepared earlier and handed them, along with a pen, to him. He froze upon seeing the divorce papers before him, making no move to fill them out. What's the matter? Aren't you going to fill out the papers? I pressed, urging him to take action. Oh no, he muttered, visibly shaken as I placed the pen in his hand. Come on, fill it out. You said you would, didn't you? No, I was just joking, he protested weakly. What a joke. You dared me to divorce you, claiming it'd be too late to change your mind later, and now you're too scared to follow through. Pathetic, I spat out in frustration. Shut up. I'll fill it out, okay? He snapped, scribbling his signature on the paper and thrusting it at me. There, I signed it, happy now. Get out, you're annoying, he ordered, his irritation evident. I remained composed as I countered, no, you're the one who's leaving. What? Huh? What do you mean? Huh? He spluttered in disbelief. This apartment is under my name, remember? And since you started supporting your beloved sister, even with your contribution, we couldn't cover our living expenses, so I had to foot the rent alone. Yet you had the audacity to keep living here without any guilt. Are you stupid? Are you out of your mind? Suddenly, a voice interrupted our argument. Wait a minute, what's going on here? Amy, my sister-in-law, rushed over and grabbed Ethan by the collar. Then she exclaimed, you promised we could stay here indefinitely. So you were lying. Amy, it's not. What do you mean, it's not? I trusted you to keep us in your home forever. I can't believe you're throwing us out. I didn't expect things to escalate like this, Ethan stuttered. Ha! You can't even handle your own wife, she taunted. What did you say? Ethan bristled. I had reached my breaking point with their argument. I gathered my sister-in-law and her children's belongings and tossed them out onto the doorstep. Hey, wait, what are you doing? Amy approached me, clearly agitated. But now that I had decided to divorce Ethan, I felt no obligation to protect her. I'm just removing someone else's belongings. Actually, you're trespassing. Could you please leave as soon as possible? I replied calmly, causing Amy to shrink back. You don't have to throw out our stuff. And you, Ethan, she turned to my ex-husband. Could you please leave us as well? I have no need for either of you anymore, I stated firmly. What kind of thing is that to say to your husband? Ethan protested. You're not my husband anymore. You're my ex-husband, I stated firmly. I never realized you could be so heartless, Ethan muttered in disbelief. Well, that's your problem now. You've crossed the line. If you think your sister and her child are more important than our own, then why don't the three of you happily live together? I retorted. Where are we supposed to go if we leave here? Are you seriously kicking us out? Ethan protested. I don't care. Do whatever you want. Now, get out. I'll call the cops if you don't, I declared, my patience wearing thin. Once I confirmed that Ethan and his sister's family had reluctantly left, I shut the door behind them. It was unlikely I'd see them again. Glancing around the room, I noticed my daughter, Luna, staring at me with a puzzled expression. Mama, where's Daddy gone? She asked innocently. I'm sorry, Luna. Do you think it's okay if it's just Mama and you from now on? I inquired gently. Luna hesitated for a moment, her expression thoughtful, but then her smile returned. I'll be okay as long as Mama's here. I'm fine as long as I'm with you, she reassured me. She rushed into my arms and I held her tightly. Yes, even without my husband, we would be all right. Together, just the two of us, we could find happiness. Later on, I arranged for their belongings to be shipped to my husband's parents' house and explained the situation over the phone. It seemed my husband and his sister's family had indeed returned to their parents' house as anticipated. However, it appeared they had been disowned and ejected from the house by their irate parents. Consequently, my ex-husband rented a small apartment where he now resides with his sister and niece as a trio. It seemed like that was their desired outcome, but I couldn't care less. I later learned that my sister-in-law's marital discord stemmed from her extravagant spending habits. Now, she was being compelled to repay the money she had squandered from her husband. Almost every day, my ex-husband inundated me with cringe-worthy texts. "I made a mistake, please forgive me. I love you and Luna more than anything. I want us to reunite as a family." Needless to say, I ignored every one of them, promptly consigning them to the trash folder. Luna doesn't want to see her dad anymore, so we don't have any plans to meet him. I'm considering moving us out of this place soon, as it could become problematic if they were to show up unexpectedly. For my daughter, I want to shower her with love and provide her with everything she needs. Even without a father figure, my priority is to ensure she lives a happy and fulfilling life.